Oh, they were the first modern terrorist group in Russia? History of Russia, part 4. Gotta continue this series, man. Got to continue this series.
1825.
Wait.
Victory over Napoleon had confirmed
Volume
Russia's
is low.
status as a world
Hold on, let me pause. Alright.
Discontent within Russia amongst intellectuals and army officers, some of whom had formed secret societies to plot the overthrow of Russia's autocratic system.
This is one of the best epic history TV series that I've reacted to, hands down.
When Emperor Alexander was succeeded, not as expected by his brother Constantine, but by a younger brother, Nicholas, one of these secret societies.
Bro, Nicholas is kind of glazing, bro. Like, damn, Nicholas. God damn. Why are you glazing, bro?
Used the confusion to launch a military coup. But the Decembrist revolt, as it became known, was defeated by loyalist troops.
That thing just fell apart.
Were hanged.
It fell apart before it even began.
Into internal exile in Siberia. This was to become a common sentence for criminals and political prisoners in Tsarist Russia. Nicholas
and didn't the Soviet Union adopt that too? Or should I say inherited it when the Soviet Union formed and replaced Russia?
went on to adopt an official doctrine of orthodoxy, autocracy, and nationality. The state was to rest on the pillars of church, Tsar, and the Russian national spirit, a clear rejection of the values of European liberalism.
Kind of not based, but I like the orthodoxy. Christianity based, man.
In the Caucasus, border clashes with Persia led to a war which ended in complete Russian victory. The Treaty of Turkmenchay forced Persia to cede all its territories in the region to Russia and pay a large indemnity. Russian support for Greece in its war of independence against the Ottomans led to war between Russia and the Ottoman Empire. Russian victory brought
Hold on. Russia clapped the living brains out of the Ottoman Empire. Like constantly, like all the time. Russia just had a complete winning streak against the Ottoman Empire, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Further gains in the Black Sea region. A Polish revolt, led by young army officers, was crushed by Russian troops.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Alexander Pushkin, Russia's greatest poet, was shot in a duel, and 2 days later died from his wounds.
I will never understand people who duel. I will never understand why would people duel, like risking their lives, bro. I just never understand the concept of that. It's just wild to me how the mindset of people back then just were, man. Like I even now thinking about it, it just doesn't make sense, because who willfully agrees to put their life? You know what? I don't know, man. I've met some people who I can't even talk, because some of the people that I've met. Well, let's continue.
Nicholas sent troops to help put down a Hungarian revolt against Austrian rule. The emperor's willingness to help suppress liberal revolts won him the nickname the Gendarme, or Policeman of Europe.
Similar to America.
Major railway.
Similar to how America is like known as the police of the world, air quotes.
Was opened, connecting St. Petersburg and Moscow. Alexander Herzen, a leading intellectual critic of Russia's autocracy, emigrated to London, where he continued to call for reform in his homeland. He'd later be described as the father of Russian socialism. The Ottoman Empire
and I've never heard of this guy. I've never heard of this guy. Bro, this, like I said, man, I said this in my last reaction, and I'm gonna say here, man, this is why I just love enjoying, like, reacting to this type of stuff, dude, because there's just so much stuff about history that I just don't know.
Known as the Sick Man of Europe, reacted to further Russian provocations by declaring war. The Russian Black Sea Fleet inflicted a crushing defeat on the Turks.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean.
Britain and France.
This is what I mean. Like, Russia just kept on just destroying the Ottoman Empire. Every single time they went to war, I'm sure of it.
Alarmed at Russia's southern expansion and potential control of Constantinople, declared war on Russia. The Allies landed troops in Crimea and besieged the naval base of Sevastopol, which fell after a grueling year-long siege. In the Baltic, British and French warships blockaded the Russian capital, St. Petersburg. Russia was forced to sign a humiliating peace, withdraw its forces from the Black Sea, and put on hold plans for further southern expansion.
You don't. Honestly, bro, before you continue, bro, Imperial Britain, France, they were very, I don't know, I guess balance of power was super important in Europe. I guess. Still a bit cocky, but yeah, balance of power. Yeah, but still, it's just, I just can't really, I don't know. You see, the thing is, right, despite the fact that I'm from a Commonwealth country that was a Commonwealth realm / British Dominion up until recently. So, deep down in my heart, I still have a bit of biases for England, but, like, also in my heart, I am kind of a Russian sympathizer. I don't know if you've been watching my Russian history videos, I think that's very clear that at this point I'm an obvious Russian sympathizer. So I don't know how to feel about that, to be honest. I don't know. Let's continue. The
Nicholas
Liberator
I was succeeded by his son, Alexander II. The Crimean War had exposed Russia's weakness. The country lagged far behind its European rivals in industry, infrastructure, and military power. So
Big
Alexander, unlike his father, decided to embrace reform. The most obvious
that was a big problem that really and truly just kept Russia back from dominating Europe, was because, in my personal opinion, a lot of these czars, they just kept Russia behind too much. It's honestly criminal. It's criminal how the czars just kind of kept Russia behind so much. It wasn't up until World War One that they were kind of, sort of, in my personal opinion, trying to actually industrialize, but at that point, it was too late, man.
Sign of Russia's backwardness was serfdom. According to the 1857 census, more than a third of Russians were serfs, forced to work their master's land with few rights, restrictions on movement, and their status passed down to their children. They were slaves in all but name.
Thank you, Epic History TV. Thank you for saying this, Epic History TV. Because one of my Russian viewers, because I literally said that this is basically slavery in my old Russian history video, and one of my Russian viewers, they were saying, oh, this isn't slavery because slavery is like this, but these people were kind of about slavery. Bro, you can be a slave indirectly. Serfdom was literally, it was literally just slavery indirectly, okay? You don't have to be like the literal for definition of a slave to be considered a slave. There are sneaky ways people enslave you in all but name, right? So this is quite literally slavery. I think I explained this in one of my last history of Russia reactions. So if you haven't checked it out, go and check it out. But this is literally slavery in all but name, man.
In 1861, Alexander II abolished serfdom in Russia. He was hailed as the liberator. But
That's
in
why he's
reality,
got a liberator.
most former serfs remained trapped in servitude and poverty.
Alright, so let me do a comparison right here. This is kind of similar to how emancipation, just like emancipation right here. Oh, hold on. When serfdom was emancipated, slavery was abolished in the British Empire for around almost 30 years at that point. Because in 1833, 1834, slavery was emancipated along the British Empire. But, there's always a but. Number one, like I said, there is many types of slavery. That is indirect slavery. So when Britain abolished slavery, they took Indian indentured servitude to replace the freed blacks that were now citizens of the empire. They took Indian indentured servitude, which is literally just slavery, to replace that. Okay? Originally, it was Scottish / Irish indentured servitude, which were basically just slaves as well. Originally, it was just white people that were just slaves, but then it was the Africans, and then after the Africans were freed, the Indians replaced them, and that lasted up until like the 20th century. So, and not only that, but emancipation, some of the freed black people, because there were black people who were always free. They were known as the free people of color. They were light skinned, typically half white, kind of like me. I'm like half white. You don't really see it because my lighting is bad, but I'm kind of like half white. Like my grandfather's white, my dad's mixed, my mother's brown, but they were typically like that type, but they were still considered black / colored. But a lot of the freed, like black Africans, I'm talking pure black Africans, they kind of still lived a life that was slavery. Like I said, there were many types of slavery that was basically indirect slavery. You get me? So let's continue. So
Alexander's reforms would continue with the creation of the Zemstva, provincial assemblies with authority over local affairs, including education and social welfare. In the Far East, Russia forced territorial concessions from a weakened China, leading to the founding of Vladivostok, Russia's major Pacific port.
And Russia and China still have so much beef, I tell you, about this city. I want to visit Vladivostok. This is a city that I want to visit when I go on visit Russia. I always tell people, oh yeah, I want to visit Russia, and they kind of look at me weird, kind of, sort of, but I'm like, yeah, I want to visit Vladivostok. I've seen pictures of it. I want to see like the mix of Chinese and Russian heritage. I think that's pretty cool, but this is the city that I want to visit. But a lot of people think that Russia and China are friends. They're not. They're not friends, my boy. They're not. Okay? Like, China kind of wants their Far Eastern territory. No, not even kind of. China wants its Far Eastern territories, including Vladivostok, back. Russia is completely paranoid about losing its Far Eastern territories because Russia doesn't have enough population to hold off from an invasion. In fact, I always tell people, if you understand Russian history could be summarized as Russia is paranoid that it's going to be invaded from a foreign neighbor. Okay, that's basically Russian history. A lot of Russian policies and whatnot has been, driven by that paranoia. This is why Russia has been trying to get people to settle in Siberia, but the problem with Siberia is that Siberia is tundra and it's just dense forest, so it's very hard to settle people in that land. And right now, due to, Russian history, Russia has a population / demographic crisis right now. So Russia doesn't even have the population, and in fact, 100 years from now, Russia might completely disintegrate, right? Russia might completely disintegrate because the population just kind of just can't do it. Like, this is why I say, I tell people, this is why Russia is inside of Ukraine. You can call me crazy, but I tell people this is why Russia is inside of Ukraine, because Russia is trying to save its population. Russia is trying to stop itself from completely disintegrating. That's why Russia is just trying to take back Ukraine. Now, if you don't want to believe that, you don't have to believe that, but it's true. So, but I digress. I don't want to talk too much about that subject.
Another uprising by Poles and Lithuanians against Russian rule was once more crushed by the Russian army.
Bro, didn't Polish people have better rights when they were in the Russian Empire than actual Russian citizens, if I am not mistaken? And they were still uprising. Oh my god.
Russia's long and brutal war against local tribes came to an end,
50
with their leaders
years
swearing oaths of loyalty to the Tsar.
Okay.
In Central Asia, the Russian Empire was gradually expanding southwards. Russian armies defeated the Emirate of Bukhara and the Khanate of Kiev, and by the 1880s, Russia had conquered most of what was then called Turkestan, today the countries of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan. Imperial rivalry in Central Asia between Russia and Britain led to the Great Game,
I've heard of
the
this as
19th
well.
century version of the Cold War. Centered on Afghanistan, diplomats and spies on both sides tried to win local support, extend their own influence, and limit the expansion of their rival, while avoiding direct military confrontation. Russia decided to sell Alaska to America for $7.2 million. Many Americans thought it was a waste of money. Gold and oil were only discovered there much later. Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace.
And Russia was kind of smart to sell it because they could have sold it for higher, but Britain was probably going to take it anyways. So yeah, Russia was smart to sell it.
Was published, still regarded as one of the world's greatest works of literature. The late 19th century was a cultural golden age for Russia, a period of literary greats and outstanding composers.
Really?
Russia, in support of nationalist revolts in the Balkans against Ottoman rule, went to war with the Ottoman Empire once more.
And
Russian
they're gonna beat the Ottoman Empire again.
Then, with Bulgarian help, fought to secure the vital Shipka Pass. Then they launched a bloody 5-month siege of Plevna in Bulgaria. Russia and her allies finally won victory, with their troops threatening Constantinople itself. But at the Congress of Berlin, Russia bowed to international pressure and accepted limited gains.
Again, my international pressure again. I knew that was gonna happen.
In a settlement that also led to independence for Romania, Serbia, Montenegro, and later Bulgaria. Meanwhile, within Russia, radical political groups were increasingly frustrated by Alexander II's limited reforms. There were several failed attempts to assassinate the emperor, but as he prepared to approve new constitutional reforms, he was killed in St. Petersburg by a bomb thrown by members of the People's Will, one of the world's first modern terrorist groups.
Oh, they were the first modern terrorist group? In Russia? What? The irony. I don't want to say anything, but that's just ironic.
This act of violence would lead only to a new era of repression.
So you're telling me that this guy who was doing reforms, because of his death, those people who killed him ironically made their lives worse for everyone else. Wow, the irony.
Did you know all Epic History TV?
Alright, another Epic History TV banger. You made it all the way till the end of this video. Come on, subscribe, man. You spent 20 minutes watching me react to this. You like my reactions, man. Just subscribe. Make sure to like the video to keep my channel on the algorithm so that I don't get shadow banned again. Ladies and gentlemen, the community is slowly growing, and I love it. I love reading all of y'all's comments. So if you have anything to say, make sure to say it. If you have any videos you want me to react to, suggest it. I will watch the suggested video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.